The United States and South Korea have agreed to revise a trade deal originally signed back in 2012. The United States will now be able to export 50,000 U.S. cars to South Korea, double the amount from the previous deal. The deal also limits South Korean steel exports to the United States to 70% of the current amount. The 25% tariff that the president put on steel will be lifted, but the 10% tariff on aluminum will remain. Both nations have also agreed not to devalue currencies to gain unfair trade advantages. For more on all of this, we turn tonight to John Sitilides, geopolitical strategist at Trilogy Advisors. John, always a pleasure. Good to have you with us tonight. Unpack a couple of things. First of all, let's talk about North Korea. Kim going to see Xi Jinping. What do you make of that? I mean, is this just getting on the same page before he meets with Trump? What's your read on it?
I think there's a couple of dimensions to this, Ed. First of all, China is not going to be marginalized in one of the most important security developments facing Northeast Asia in years, if not decades. And I think there was concern on the part of Xi Jinping that this was basically a Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un arrangement. So, first of all, they're going to make sure that they're part of the process. They're sitting at the table. And I think also Xi Jinping was curious as to what exactly is Kim Jong-un's strategy with the meeting with the South Koreans in April and, of course, in preparations for the meeting with President Trump in May. So China is not going to be marginalized. They have made their influence known, felt, and they will be an important part of the process over the next several months.
Would it be fair to assume that the sanctions have really taken hold to their economy in North Korea? Maybe this meeting wouldn't have taken place 6 months ago. What's different?
No, I think that's a very fair comment, Ed. And as a matter of fact, you have unprecedented sanctions that have been leveled against the North Koreans in the last year to year and a half under the Trump administration. Even the Chinese are participating at a level they simply never had before. Not 100%, but much more serious on the part of Chinese enforcement. Also, keep in mind that North Korea's U.S. dollar and foreign currency reserves are projected to potentially be exhausted by October. So in many ways, the North Korean economy is on the ropes. They need some type of a deal that includes concessions to get food and oil and other important aspects for the North Korean economy back in there, and they can only do that with China's help.
Is it the right move for the United States and South Korea to move forward with these war games or military drills? Because after all, Kim Jong-un is not testing rockets, not as openly as he was before. What about that?
That's an open question. I think clearly President Trump has compared what took place under Presidents Clinton, Bush, and Obama, where every time there was some talk of negotiations or a process to move forward on the North Korea issue, there would be seeming concessions on the part of the North Koreans, then concessions on the part of the U.S. and the international community. The North Koreans would take all those concessions and simply resume nuclear testing and ballistic missile development. So I think what President Trump is looking to show right now is that is not going to happen again. As you and I have discussed repeatedly in the past, Ed, maximum pressure and maximum sanctions seems to be the case on the part of the U.S. until they have something that is demonstrable, verifiable, and irreversible on the part of the North Koreans.
All right, let's talk about South Korea and the United States, a new, quote, trade deal. The biggest thing that I see here is that there is an admission that there will not be any manipulation of currency. Both Republicans and Democrats have been screaming about that a lot. Would it be fair to come to the conclusion that President Trump's move on tariffs have paid off to get them to the table to make a move? What do you make all of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know to what extent it's the tariffs issue per se, or even the fact that the Trump administration, while he was a candidate and when he became president, stated he would do so and did, in fact, pull out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership talks and look to see where there are opportunities for bilateral U.S. trade talks with various countries, including South Korea, and see if there's something that holds and also sets an example for other countries that might be looking now to negotiate bilateral trade deals with the Trump administration. I think it's a good first step. I don't know if this will hold, and that proof will be in the pudding in the months to come, Ed.
John Sitilides, Trilogy Advisors. Great to have you with us, John. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.